Hey TPT sellers, it's Mike Fuchigami, the host of the SEOTpreneur YouTube community. Today's TPT SEO thought of the day is how much to charge for your TPT product. One common idea is to think about how much value does that TPT product give to the teacher buyer. Is this resource going to be one period? Is it going to be a week of content? Is this a whole month of content? Well, how much would you pay for that? Would you be willing to pay $3 for a lesson? Maybe. Thinking about how much you'd be willing to spend is a good place to start. This video is for TPT tadpoles, hamsters, and hawks. If you're a TPT tadpole, I wouldn't overthink it. Some of you TPT sellers are not teachers, so you might not know how much to price it. And in that case, looking at how much other people are charging might be a way to go. If you're a TPT hamster or TPT hawk, then the game becomes, well, I know that if I charge more, that I'll probably rank higher in SEO. My current idea is that the price of the resource times the store halo effect equals a TPT SEO boost. So I'm trying to rank for TPT seller resources. If I type TPT seller in search, I might sort of scan the first page and see, oh, that's $3, that's $39, $44, $16, $32, $12, to try to get a sense of how much people are charging. One of the things that I'm tinkering with in this keyword search tool is the ability to look at the average price of the resource on the different search pages. Now, the version of the keyword tool that you see right now is not publicly available. If you're part of SEOTpreneur PRO, you get a sneak peek at some of the things that I'm developing. So if I click on this sneak peek TPT keyword tool, I can get a copy of this alpha version. So let's just make a copy. In product development, there's an alpha testing and then a beta testing stage. Alpha testing is like a first draft, and then beta testing is when we think we've polished it up and now we're getting public review. So this is still in alpha testing. I just added this feature this morning. If I go to keyword ranking and allow access to the internet, you can see here it now shows average price of resource. Although I could get a calculator and manually calculate the average $3, $39, $44, and then figure out the average price, a future upcoming version of that keyword tool will just calculate it for us. And from an SEO perspective, this is interesting because look at this. The average price to rank for TPT seller on the first page is $57, and then on the second page is $19, and then on the third page is $48. So at first glance, we might think that more expensive resources get ranked higher, and I think that is true to a certain extent, but it's not always the case. I can see for my TPT seller store, I'm on page 1 at the bottom for the ultimate bundle, and that's the bundle price is $10. Oh, you know what? That would be neat to be able to see the full price versus the bundle price, but that's another episode. I can see that my ultimate keyword search tool, which has never sold, is close behind. So to me, it makes sense that the ultimate bundle is higher now, because if we look at units sold, I've sold 78 resources of the ultimate bundle. Whereas if I look at the keyword tool, you can see that I've sold 0. Here's a fun trivia question for those of you who are new to the channel. If I sold 0 units of this resource, how did I get 5 5-star reviews? So if you're new to the channel, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your guesses. I was listening to Alex Hormozi in his book, $100 Million Offers, and he explains the typical pricing model. You look to see what your competitors are charging. If I scroll down here, I can see the price of all these resources. I could eyeball this. There's some really wide variations, like some of these are $289, and some of these resources are $3, and some of these are $622. Wow. So there's a wide range, but the traditional pricing model is basically figure out the average price that your competitors are charging and price your product a little bit less and offer a little bit more than your competitors. And Alex Hormozi says, actually don't do that, because his whole point is create grand slam offers and provide incredible value, but also be the most expensive product on the market, because then it adds mystery. Well, why is this product so expensive? I mean, obviously you have to create enough value above the price of your product, so it's still a no-brainer to get the resource. But yeah, if you're a tadpole and you're not a teacher and you're not sure how much to charge, then looking at the typical price for a resource might be the way to go. Now, some of you are going to rightly ask, Mike, why is this version of the keyword tool only available as a sneak peek in SEOTpreneur PRO instead of updating it on your TPT store? You know how as a teacher, you're constantly tinkering with your lessons. You teach it to one class and then you teach it to another class and you figure out what works and what didn't work in that first class, and you use the better jokes or the better ideas in your second class. And then the third class that you teach the same lesson to, it gets better and better. So that's where I'm kind of at right now. I'm just kind of tinkering around with these different tools, trying to see what can happen. And then I might go into the staff room and say, hey, here's what I'm working on. Well, the SEOT Pro community is kind of like my staff room, where we're literally just bouncing around ideas. And so I'm looking for feedback on ideas before I go public with it. And so as a TPT seller, you might be constantly tweaking and revising your lesson. And then eventually you've got to polish it up or update your resource to the latest version. So I published the first keyword tool at 80% perfect, which is good enough. And now I'm trying to make it a little bit better. So I'm looking for feedback from the YouTube community as well. What would you like to see in this keyword ranking tool? Now, there's a difference between this keyword ranking tool and this auto-suggest tool, which I'm tinkering around with. If I type TPT seller, what shows up? Oh, top sellers on TPT. That's not very meaningful for me. This trending keyword tool has an ongoing cost. So it'll have to be part of an ongoing payment structure, like in a membership program. But the way that this TPT keyword ranking tool works, there's no ongoing cost because Google Sheets is loading up the search pages. The moment I try to get trending keywords, there's an additional cost because of the way that trending keywords are suggested on the TPT search website. So if I come back to you, my target audience, and making things for TPT sellers, what features would you like to be able to see in a keyword ranking tool like this? There's probably a way we can come up with a way to estimate what year the resource was made. And the reason why I say that is because at the end of every TPT product, there's a product ID number. So I'm looking for a TPT seller who has been around since day one, who's comfortable sharing their product stats CSV file with me. I don't actually need the stats. So you could go into Google Sheets and just delete all of the statistics here. And I'm just going to go right-click, delete columns. The information I'm looking for is the name of the product and the date it was posted. I have data from 2018, but if you've been around since the very beginning of TPT, with that information, then I could put here age of resource. And that would provide clues to everyone to help us get an idea of how hard it is to rank for a certain keyword on TPT. So the moment I have that age of resource data, I'll update this unlimited TPT SEO keyword search tool on TPT. If you're just joining the channel, don't buy this for $120. Scroll down and buy the bundle, which is only $9.99. And it's a growing bundle. We might start the price of our product at a certain amount based on how much we think it's worth for us to use as a teacher or based on competitor research. But eventually, you might want to increase the price if it's selling well or decrease the price if it's not selling well. Now on TPT, I've posted the simple TPT data tool. And when you download the PDF, there's a link to create a Google Sheet. And if I upload my product stats, so I click on the yellow cell, File, Import, Upload, Browse. Here's my CSV file. Replace data at the selected cell, which is the yellow cell. And then I need to right-click the yellow cell and delete row. Now I'm going to sort it by paid resources. And if I click the sold rate and I change the sort from Z to A, I have some division by zero errors because those are resources with 0 page views. They're just not live. And I can see that my systemic discrimination resource has a sold rate of 13.6%. And I might have a rule that says if it's above 10%, then increase the price. And if it's below 5%, then decrease the price, or whatever those rules are for your store. Now, the challenge with this approach when we use our product stat CSV file is that the product stat CSV that we download from TPT shows us the lifetime stats of this resource. But the economy has changed. So we might want to look at our product stats for the last 28 days, the last 90 days before we make any pricing decisions. And we can do that for free. Go to freesellertool.com and download the advanced version. You can get the full version of the TPT data tool with all of its features. If I click on Extreme TP Product Stats, I can change the time period of my product stats to something like the last 28 days. Instead of sorting by earnings, I want to sort it by the sold rate. And I might see something like, wow, my article number 2 has 100% sold rate, but it's only had 1 page view. I know a lot of us like to say, hey, I want to look at resources that have over 300 page views before I make a decision. So I'm going to put the minimum number of page views at 300. In this case, I only have my reading comprehension bundle. So I'm going to change the time period from the last 28 days to the last 90 days. Now I have some more resources showing up, but you know what? The sold rate is still 3.8%. Well, maybe I'm going to change it from the last 90 days to this year so far, which is 142 days. So now I can see this fund end of year life skills. What resource is this? Collaboration activity has a sold rate of 8.2%. I'm going to use the Epic TPT product stats, which is based on our lifetime. So if I set for page views, I'm going to set the minimum value to 300. I'm going to sort it by the sold rate. So now I can see from my product stats CSV of the resources that have at least 300 page views, I can now see what the sold rate is. And I can make a decision about, well, you know what? This systemic discrimination resource does seem to be selling well. The sold rate is 13%. Maybe I might try increasing the price and see what happens to the sold rate. So I could try that. And then if I go to the extreme TPT product stats in a month, I could click on this last 28 days. If I search for that systemic discrimination rate, I can see what the sold rate might be. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Don't forget that you can watch videos on a free seller tool that explain how to use the different features. For those of you who want to learn from me directly in a Zoom meeting, if you go to SEOTpreneur.com and click on workshops, I'm running a workshop this weekend called the Get Ready for Summer TPT Data Workshop, where we'll use the TPT data tool to analyze your data. I've used that free TPT data tool with so many TPT sellers that I'm confident saying, if you don't discover new insights about your TPT products, you get your money back. So the TPT data tool is free, but the workshop is an optional add-on. It costs $37, but the first 10 people save $20 with a promo code. So if you're interested in learning from me in a Zoom meeting workshop, go check out SEOTpreneur.com and click on workshops. If you have any ideas about what you'd like to see in the keyword tool, leave a comment below, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.